Communication is more than just words. It's the bridge that connects our thoughts, emotions, and intentions with the world around us. Every relationship, opportunity, and success we experience depends on how effectively we express ourselves and how deeply we listen to others. Yet, in today's fast-paced world, genuine communication is becoming a lost art. We talk more but understand less. We hear words but miss meaning. This book, 10 Tips to Boost Your Communication Skills, is your guide to rebuilding that bridge, stronger, clearer, and more human than ever before. In these pages, you'll discover the small changes that lead to big transformations, how to listen actively, speak confidently, read nonverbal cues, and connect with empathy. You'll learn how to turn conversations into opportunities, misunderstandings into clarity, and silence into understanding. Whether you're a student, professional, or simply someone who wants to connect more deeply with others, these 10 practical tips will help you express your thoughts with purpose and confidence. Imagine how your life could change if you could speak in a way that inspires, listen in a way that heals, and connect in a way that lasts. Communication isn't just a skill, it's the heartbeat of relationships, leadership, and personal growth. At WiserReads, we believe that wisdom begins with listening, to books, to others, and to ourselves. If this message resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to WiserReads. Let's grow wiser together, one book, one idea, and one conversation at a time.
Introduction: The power of effective communication. Communication is the essence of human connection. It shapes how we build relationships, influence others, and express who we are. In a world filled with constant noise, texts, emails, and endless notifications, genuine communication has become rare. The introduction of 10 Tips to Boost Your Communication Skills reminds us that effective communication goes beyond speaking well. It's about understanding, empathy, and presence. Every successful interaction depends on two key abilities: expressing ideas clearly and truly listening. When we fail to communicate, misunderstandings arise, relationships weaken, and opportunities slip away. But when we master communication, we open doors to trust, respect, and meaningful connection. The introduction highlights how communication is not just a professional skill, it's a life skill that determines the quality of our relationships, careers, and emotional well-being. The reader is encouraged to reflect on how they currently communicate. Do they listen to understand or to respond? Do their words uplift or confuse? The goal of the book is to help transform everyday conversations into moments of genuine understanding. It promises to guide readers through 10 practical and actionable tips that will strengthen their ability to connect, influence, and inspire. Ultimately, the introduction invites readers to rediscover the true power of communication, not as a tool, but as a bridge to human connection. Tip 1. Master the art of active listening. Active listening is the foundation of all great communication. This chapter teaches that communication is not a one-way act of speaking, but a shared exchange of attention, respect, and understanding. Many people listen merely to reply, but true listeners focus entirely on the speaker, their words, emotions, and intentions. Mastering active listening means being fully present in the moment. It involves silencing inner distractions, maintaining eye contact, and showing interest through body language and subtle verbal affirmations. The chapter emphasizes that people don't just want to be heard, they want to feel understood. When we listen actively, we create trust, reduce conflict, and make others feel valued. The book encourages readers to practice empathy while listening, to step into the other person's perspective without judgment, This not only deepens personal relationships, but also enhances leadership and teamwork. Active listening also improves memory, decision-making, and emotional intelligence, as it requires awareness of both verbal and nonverbal signals. By the end of this section, readers learn that listening is not passive, it's a powerful act of connection. Every conversation becomes more meaningful when we stop hearing and start truly listening.
Tip 2. Speak clearly and confidently. Clear and confident speech is one of the most powerful tools of effective communication. This chapter emphasizes that how we speak often matters more than what we say. The way we articulate our ideas, control our tone, and project confidence shapes how others perceive us. Clarity ensures that our message is understood. Confidence ensures that it is respected. Speaking clearly begins with simplicity, choosing words that convey meaning directly and avoiding unnecessary jargon or filler phrases. The book encourages readers to slow down, organize their thoughts, and speak with intention. Confidence, on the other hand, is built through preparation and self-awareness. It's not about being loud or dominant, but about believing in the value of your message. The chapter highlights techniques to strengthen vocal presence, maintaining steady breathing, projecting the voice from the diaphragm, and varying tone and pace to keep listeners engaged. It also explores the importance of positive posture, open gestures, and eye contact, which reinforce verbal confidence. The author reminds readers that confidence grows through practice and experience. The more we communicate, the more natural it becomes. Whether speaking in meetings, interviews, or personal conversations, the key is authenticity. When we express ourselves with honesty and composure, our message resonates deeply. Ultimately, clear and confident speech transforms communication into influence. It inspires trust, earns respect, and allows our ideas to leave a lasting impact. Tip 3. Understand body language and nonverbal cues. Words make up only a small portion of communication. The rest is expressed through body language, facial expressions, and tone. This chapter reveals how nonverbal cues often speak louder than words, shaping how our message is interpreted and how others feel around us. Understanding body language begins with awareness, both of ourselves and of others. The position of our body, gestures, and facial expressions all convey emotions, confidence, or hesitation. A smile can express warmth. Crossed arms can signal defensiveness, and steady eye contact can communicate sincerity and attention. The book explains that being conscious of nonverbal signals helps us align our words with our emotions. When our body language contradicts our message, people trust the nonverbal over the verbal. Therefore, authenticity and congruence are vital. Our gestures, tone, and expressions should reflect what we truly feel. Readers are also encouraged to become better observers. By reading others' posture, eye movement, and tone shifts, we can detect discomfort, interest, or agreement long before words are spoken. This awareness allows for deeper empathy and more effective responses in both personal and professional interactions. The chapter also explores cultural differences in body language, reminding us to interpret cues within context. What seems confident in one culture may appear rude in another. Ultimately, understanding nonverbal communication turns us into more perceptive, trustworthy, and emotionally intelligent communicators. When we speak with our whole body, not just our words, we connect on a deeper, more human level. Tip 4.
Develop empathy in every conversation. Empathy is the heart of genuine communication. This chapter explains that true connection begins when we listen and respond with understanding, not just to the words spoken, but to the emotions behind them. To develop empathy is to step into another person's perspective, to feel what they feel, and to respond with care and respect. The book teaches that empathy transforms conversations. It turns arguments into dialogues and differences into opportunities for growth. When we communicate with empathy, we show others that their experiences and feelings matter. This builds trust, deepens relationships, and creates emotional safety, essential for honest expression. Empathy begins with listening without judgment. Instead of rushing to advise or correct, we learn to pause, acknowledge emotions, and reflect understanding through phrases like, "I can see how that must have felt." Such responses validate the other person's experience and open the door to deeper connection. The chapter also highlights that empathy doesn't mean agreement, it means respect. We can disagree with someone's opinion while still honoring their emotions. Developing empathy requires emotional awareness, patience, and humility, recognizing that every person's story holds value. By practicing empathy, we elevate our communication from transactional to transformational. We stop trying to win conversations and start trying to understand. In doing so, we make people feel seen, heard, and valued, and that is the essence of human connection. Tip 5. Ask the right questions. Good communication is fueled not by having all the answers, but by asking the right questions. This chapter reveals how thoughtful questioning can deepen understanding, spark curiosity, and strengthen relationships. The quality of our questions often determines the quality of our connections. The book distinguishes between closed-ended and open-ended questions. Closed questions limit responses to yes or no, while open-ended questions invite reflection and conversation. Asking, "How did that make you feel?" instead of "Did you like it?" encourages honesty and emotional depth. The chapter emphasizes that the best communicators are curious listeners. They ask questions not to control the conversation, but to explore and learn. Questions like, "What do you think?" or "Can you tell me more?" show respect and interest, making others feel valued and understood. Timing and tone also matter. Questions asked with genuine curiosity and warmth open hearts, while those asked with judgment can create defensiveness. The author encourages readers to use follow-up questions to clarify meaning and avoid misunderstandings, a powerful habit that prevents misunderstandings. Additionally, asking questions helps guide group discussions, strengthen teamwork, and resolve conflicts. It turns passive communication into active collaboration. Ultimately, the art of asking the right questions is the art of connection. It transforms talking into learning and listening into understanding. When we learn to ask with sincerity, we unlock the stories, ideas, and emotions that make every conversation truly meaningful.
Tip 6. Build emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, or EI, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage both your own emotions and those of others. This chapter explains that communication is not just about logic, it's deeply emotional. Every word we speak carries tone, intention, and feeling, and emotional intelligence helps us use these elements wisely. The foundation of EI lies in self-awareness. Before we can communicate effectively with others, we must understand what drives our own reactions: frustration, fear, excitement, or joy. The book encourages readers to pause and reflect before responding, turning emotional impulses into thoughtful choices. Self-regulation follows awareness. It's about staying calm under pressure, expressing emotions appropriately,
and avoiding reactive communication that damages trust. People with strong EI don't let anger or ego dominate their message. They choose empathy, patience, and clarity instead. Equally important is social awareness, reading the emotional climate of a conversation through tone, energy, and subtle cues. Recognizing others' emotions allows us to respond with sensitivity, strengthening relationships and avoiding unnecessary conflict. Finally, emotionally intelligent communicators use these insights to build genuine connections. They inspire, motivate, and resolve issues gracefully because they understand people, not just problems. This chapter reminds readers that emotional intelligence can be developed through mindfulness, empathy, and honest reflection. It's not a fixed trait, it's a skill that grows with practice. When emotions and communication align, we not only speak better, we connect deeper. Tip 7. Adapt your message to your audience. Effective communication is not one size fits all. This chapter teaches that the key to being understood lies in adapting your message to the people you're speaking to. The same idea can inspire one person and confuse another, depending on how it's delivered. To communicate powerfully, we must first understand our audience, their needs, interests, and level of knowledge. Are we speaking to a team of professionals, a group of friends, or a general audience? Each requires a different tone, vocabulary, and structure. The book encourages communicators to observe before speaking, to listen, notice reactions, and adjust accordingly. Clarity is crucial. Avoid jargon when speaking to beginners and provide depth when addressing experts. Adaptation also involves cultural and emotional sensitivity. Understanding that gestures, humor, or phrasing may carry different meanings across backgrounds. Tone and delivery play an equal role. A confident yet humble tone builds credibility. Enthusiasm keeps listeners engaged. Visual cues like facial expression and posture reinforce your message and help the audience feel connected. The chapter also stresses flexibility, reading the room and adjusting your approach in real time. If the audience seems distracted, simplify. If they're curious, expand. Great communicators are not rigid performers, but responsive partners in dialogue. Ultimately, adapting your message is about respect. It shows you care enough to meet others where they are. When you tailor your communication to your audience, you not only deliver information, you create understanding. And understanding is where true connection begins.
Tip 8. Improve your vocabulary and tone. Words shape perception. They have the power to build bridges or create distance. This chapter highlights that improving your vocabulary and mastering your tone are essential to expressing yourself clearly, respectfully, and persuasively. The goal is not to use complicated words, but to choose the right words, those that convey meaning with precision and warmth. A rich vocabulary allows you to express ideas accurately and avoid misunderstandings. The book encourages daily reading, note-taking, and curiosity about language to naturally expand word choice. It reminds readers that the best communicators adapt their vocabulary to the situation. Simple and relatable in casual talks, articulate and polished in professional settings. Equally important is tone, the emotional color of communication. Tone reveals attitude, kindness, confidence, sarcasm, or frustration, often louder than words themselves. A calm, positive, and respectful tone fosters trust and keeps conversations constructive, even in disagreement. The chapter also emphasizes the power of empathy in tone control. When we consider how our words might make others feel, we naturally choose a more thoughtful and inclusive language. The book offers practical advice. Pause before speaking, avoid harsh phrasing, and use encouraging expressions like "I understand" or
Let's find a solution. Ultimately, vocabulary gives your message clarity, and tone gives it heart. When both align, your communication becomes not only understood, but remembered. Tip 9. Handle conflicts with calm and respect. Conflict is inevitable in communication, but how we handle it defines our character and relationships. This chapter teaches that conflicts are not failures. They are opportunities for understanding, growth, and strengthened trust when managed with calm and respect. The first rule of conflict resolution is emotional control. The author advises taking a breath, listening before reacting, and separating emotion from fact. When tempers rise, clarity fades. Calmness restores it. Remaining composed helps both sides feel safe enough to express themselves honestly. Respect is the foundation of every productive disagreement. Attacking ideas is acceptable. Attacking people is not. The author encourages using I statements instead of you accusations. For example, I feel concerned when, rather than you always. This approach reduces defensiveness and keeps dialogue open. Active listening plays a vital role in resolving tension. When people feel heard, they're more likely to soften their stance. The chapter also recommends seeking common ground and focusing on solutions rather than blame. Sometimes agreeing to disagree with kindness is the most respectful resolution. Nonverbal cues are equally important. Relaxed posture, open gestures, and steady tone all communicate maturity and empathy. By mastering calm and respectful communication, conflicts become opportunities for connection rather than division. The book reminds readers that peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the skill of managing it with understanding, dignity, and heart.
Tip 10. Practice consistent and honest feedback. Feedback is one of the most valuable tools for growth, both personally and professionally. This chapter emphasizes that consistent and honest feedback helps build trust, strengthen relationships, and improve communication skills. When done right, feedback isn't criticism, it's a gift of awareness. The key to effective feedback lies in intention. The purpose should always be to help, not to hurt. The book recommends approaching feedback with empathy, choosing the right time, place, and tone to ensure it is received with openness. Constructive feedback focuses on behavior, not personality. For example, instead of saying, "You're careless," say, "I notice a few details were missed. How can we improve that together?" Consistency is equally important. Waiting too long to share feedback allows small issues to grow into bigger misunderstandings. Frequent, open conversations create a culture of trust and continuous improvement. Likewise, being open to receiving feedback shows humility and emotional maturity. Honesty also plays a crucial role. Sugarcoating prevents progress, but harsh words destroy confidence. The book teaches the feedback sandwich technique, starting with a positive note, addressing the area for improvement, and closing with encouragement. Finally, feedback should inspire action. Clear, specific, and solution-focused comments empower people to grow rather than feel judged. When practiced consistently and kindly, honest feedback transforms communication from one-sided talk into mutual learning. It turns relationships into partnerships built on respect, growth, and authenticity. Conclusion: transforming your communication, transforming your life. The conclusion of 10 Tips to Boost Your Communication Skills brings every lesson together under one truth. Communication is the foundation of every meaningful part of life. How we listen, speak, and respond shapes our relationships, opportunities, and inner peace. The book reminds readers that communication is not a talent reserved for a few. It's a skill that anyone can develop with awareness and practice. Each of the 10 tips represents a step toward more mindful, empathetic, and impactful interaction. Listening deeply, speaking confidently, reading body language, showing empathy, asking questions,
managing emotions, adapting messages, choosing words wisely, handling conflict calmly, and offering honest feedback. When practiced together, these habits create a ripple effect. We begin to understand others more clearly, express ourselves more authentically, and resolve challenges with grace. Our conversations become bridges, not walls. The conclusion also highlights that improving communication is ultimately about improving connection with others and with ourselves. It helps us lead better, love better, and live better. Transformation doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, every interaction becomes an opportunity to grow wiser and more compassionate. When you transform your communication, you transform your world. At WiserReads, we believe every great conversation starts with a great book. Subscribe to the channel and let's continue learning, growing, and communicating one wise read at a time. Yellow Book. As we come to the end of 10 tips to boost your communication skills, it's clear that communication is more than a skill. It's the foundation of human connection. Every word we speak and every moment we listen shapes our relationships, our confidence, and even our success. This book reminds us that great communicators aren't born. They're built through awareness, empathy, and consistent practice. We've learned that effective communication begins with listening actively, giving full attention, not just to words, but to emotions. We discovered the importance of speaking clearly and confidently, and how body language can speak louder than our voice. Through empathy and the right questions, we build bridges of understanding, while emotional intelligence helps us manage our reactions and connect with authenticity. The book also taught us to adapt our message to our audience, use language and tone wisely, and handle conflicts with calm and respect. And finally, it reminded us that honest feedback, when given with kindness, helps us and others grow stronger. Communication, at its heart, is about connection with others and with ourselves. When we master it, we don't just improve how we talk, we transform how we live. We create relationships rooted in trust, workplaces built on collaboration, and lives filled with clarity and peace. If this book has inspired you to communicate more thoughtfully and live more meaningfully, then join our growing community at WiserReads. Subscribe today, and let's continue learning together, one book, one insight, and one conversation at a time. Because every word you speak has the power to change a life, starting with your own.